This will be a demo for 16.5. It is the sheet that looks like this right here. I like to go ahead and print this one off to do it instead of doing it on the computer. I think that that's easier. This video will not be super great quality for camera work because I'm not going to use a tripod. I want to go ahead and get this done. That way I can also pan easily from place to place. You may just see what I've done after I've already done it. The PowerPoint tells you that there's a correction to make. You can see in my textbook that I've changed segment 2 to be, if it'll focus for you there, it is 2 feet 7 1/8 inches instead of the 2 foot 7 that it says it is. What we have to do for this is we have to calculate the length of each piece of pipe. You may think it's easy when you look at it and see all the measurements. The difference is that we actually have to subtract off the fittings, because this is supposed to be, like it says up above, butt welding fittings. So that means that they're going to butt together and then be welded. It tells you to use Appendix C23. If we flip to Appendix C23, right there's Appendix C23 on page 832 of the textbook. So we'll be flipping back and forth to that page. I'm going to go ahead and mark that. And what we're going to go ahead and do then is we're going to start out here. The fitting schedule might be the easiest one to go ahead and start with because all you have to do is count those fittings. So for instance, if I looked for letter A is going to be my 90-degree elbow, and there is 1, 2, 3, 3 90s that I'm dealing with. So if I came over here, I could go ahead and say 3 for my quantity. Then, that, like we mentioned, is a 90-degree elbow. It also has names for them up here if you're not sure what to give them. So there's an elbow short radius and there's an elbow long radius. This is back next to that Appendix C23. So looking at those, I think I would call them elbow short radius. So I could go ahead and write that down. And then size, if we come back to our drawing page. When we're looking at the drawing page here, let's go ahead and see what it tells us for sizes. Drawing pipe scratch, weld, schedule 40, steel pipe, refer to prepare fittings. So as we're looking here, we're going to go ahead and go with a 3-inch pipe. We're going to go ahead and make it a 3-inch pipe, make it standard. Then we're going to have this reduced down to a 2-inch through here. Since it does not go ahead and give us a size on them, we're going to assume 3 for everything else and 2 through this reduction area. Now, that is how you're going to do each fitting. What we're going to do now is calculate a couple pipe lengths for you so that you know how to do that. So if I look up here at pipe length 1, I can go ahead and tell that the length from the center of that fitting to the center of that fitting is 3 foot 9. So I'm going to come over here and write down 3 foot 9 inches. Then what I'm going to do is I notice that that is a short elbow along with a 45. So I'm going to come back here and find out what dimensions I have to subtract off for those. So my short elbow, I'm going to have to take off dimension A for my 3-inch pipe. So if I come over here and I look at my chart for a 3-inch pipe, it goes ahead and tells me that dimension A, 3-inch pipe, dimension A is 3 inches. So I'm going to subtract 3 inches from my overall length. Then if you remember, the other corner was a 45-degree elbow, which means I need dimension C for a 3-inch pipe. That's going to be 2 inches. So if I subtract 2 inches, so you can see right there is my math. 3 foot 9 minus 3 inches minus 2 inches, so that's minus a total of 5 inches, would leave me with 3 foot 4. And that's what I would go ahead and put up here in this box. So each one of those is just looking up and trying to figure out what the length of each pipe is. I'm going to go ahead and also do the segment number 2 for you. That way you can see me demonstrate one more. Once again, remember that is 2 feet 7 1/8 inches. So I'm going to come over here and write down 2 feet 7 1/8 inches. Once again, we have 45-degree elbows, and if we remember from segment 1, each of those from the center to the edge of it is going to be 2 inches. So I'm going to have to subtract 2 inches twice, so minus 2 inches, minus 2 inches, leaves me with, subtracting 4 inches, gives me 2 feet 3 1/8 inches. And I'm going to write that right up here. It'd be preferred to leave these in fractions versus decimals. Now, those are the easier ones. The more difficult ones are going to be segment 3 because it actually has a bend put into the pipe, and segment 10 because it has a bend in it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do segment 3 as an example for you. So segment 3, we're basically going to go ahead and treat this bend as a circle. If you remember back in the textbook, we went over a page that went ahead and talked about putting those bends in there. So if you need to, once again I apologize for the shaky camera, this way I could pan easily. On page 577 you can see that right there's the process for calculating those bends. As we read through that, it tells us to determine the radius of the bend, determine the angle of the bend, calculate the circumference of the entire circle. Then we have to go ahead and multiply it by what percentage of a full circle we have. So all we're dealing with is 2 pi r or pi d for our formula, and then we're going ahead and converting that to just the length that we actually need. So I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate number 3. So number 3, what I'm going to actually deal with is I'm going to deal with this pipe in 3 segments and add them together. So from here to this start of the bend, from the start of the bend to the end of the bend, and the bend itself. So I know that this top measurement is 6'5". I know that the radius of the bend, or the distance from the center back, is 2 feet, so I know that I've got 4'5". So I'm going to come over here and start this listed over here, 4'5". Now on the left end of that, you'll see that I once again have fitting B. Fitting B, remember, from the center to the edge where it gets welded is 2 inches. That was our value C. So I'm going to subtract 2 inches, leaves me with 4'3". So that's one of my values I need to hold on to. Down here, we can see that we've got 4'5". Once again, subtracting 2 feet for our bend radius leaves us with 2'5". And if I come over here, I've got a T down there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip to the back of the book, find my measurements for a T on a 3-inch pipe. So a T, we're looking at measurement D from the center up to the edge. So as I come across on a 3-inch pipe, I can see that 3-inch pipe, letter D is 3.38 inches, which would be 3 3/8 of an inch. So if I go ahead and subtract 3 3/8 of an inch, I will go ahead and end up with 2 feet 1 5/8 of an inch. So there's another one of my measurements. Now I just need to go ahead and find my bend piece. So that's 2 feet is my radius. And if you remember, our formula can be 2 pi r. So if I go ahead and put 2 times pi times 2 feet, that would be 4 feet pi. Let's go ahead and say that pi is 3.14. So if I take 4 times 3.14, let's test my mental math here, is going to go ahead and give me 12.56 feet. Now, we do not have a full circle. That would be if we had a full circle. So we have to take 1/4 of that. So once again, if I went ahead and took 1/4 of that, how convenient that 2 times 2 is 4. So we could actually just find out that that divided by 4 equals pi, which is going to be 3.14 feet. Now, I'd like that in feet and inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to know that that's 3 feet right there, and then 0.14 feet. So I've got 3 feet. And then with the 0.14, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go to the computer, see if it'll let me do this. Okay, I'll just grab a calculator. And what I want to be able to do is I want to go ahead and take, I've got one right here. I want to go ahead and take 0.14 times 12 because there's 12 inches in a foot. So if I take 0.14 times 12 equals 1.68 inches, which is going to be about 1 5/8 inches. So I've got 3 feet 1 5/8 inches. Now I add all three of these together, 4 foot 3 plus 2 foot 1 5/8 plus 3 foot 1 5/8. So if I add the inches first, that's going to give me 3 1/4, 6 1/4 inches. So I'm going to come over to number 3 here, put in the 6 1/4 inches. And then if I go ahead and add the feet together, let's see, I've got 4 feet plus 2 feet is 6 plus 3 is 9 feet. And that is how you're going to go ahead and do 16/5, just one step at a time, working through them.